Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you why this is so very important, and we need to understand what's coming down the line with these self-checkout lanes. First, I'm going to tell you a story because I love telling stories and you know that. So a few days ago, probably less than a week ago, I had to go to Lowe's to purchase something. They had 0 lanes open with cashiers. None of them were open with cashiers, but there were 2 representatives. And I'm not knocking on Lowe's, right? I'm not knocking on them. I understand that they have to do whatever they have to do. I just don't agree with it, okay? And the employees that were there doing their job, it's not them that's making those decisions, okay? I just want to say that out there because I think that Lowe's is a great place to go. It's just that from now on, I think I'm just going to go to a smaller hardware store like Ace Hardware, even though it's out of my way, because it's a much better experience. I digress, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, I had to go pick something up that was small. Absolutely no lanes open with cashiers, and I go to the lane to check myself out. Why? Because I needed the stuff that I was going to get. So I start scanning it, and then I notice a screen in front of me that has me on that screen, and it says you are being recorded. And I tell to the lady that was there, one of the employees, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Everyone is recorded. I said, you don't have a choice but to self-checkout if you want to purchase something here because there's no cashiers available. And at the same time, you have to agree to be recorded of everything that you're buying. I said, what is the problem? I said, do you have a big problem with theft? And you know what she said? And this, like I said, this is not talking bad about her. It's that people live in a normalcy biased state. She said, well, every other store is doing it. And I'm like, so that makes it okay for us to do it here. You know, I'm going to do everything that I can from now on that whenever I do need something that's aside from like lumber, because Lowe's and Home Depot, and we do have another place, I think it's called Northwoods, I believe it's called, that sells wood. I'm just going to try to stay away from those big places unless I have to go there to pick stuff up from there because it's ridiculous. It is with our dollars that we walk. But anyways, that was one story. The second story is that I had to go to Walmart to get something. Was it Walmart? No, it wasn't Walmart. I went to Fred Meyer. It was to Fred Meyer. I went there yesterday to pick up like 2 or 3 items that we needed in the house. I went there. There was one out of about, I don't know, they must have at least a good 15 cash register lanes where a cashier can work. Out of about 15 of them, there was one that was open, ladies and gentlemen. One that was open, and it had a line of people that did not want to submit to the checkout lanes. I hope that you stick with me through this video because especially the second half of this video, you're going to see something that in my opinion proves that we will be going to a digital currency, number one, that there will be no more human workers in stores, not just supermarkets, but in stores, number 2, and you will have no one to file any grievances to should you feel that you were wronged in any way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show you a couple of videos that in a way it's kind of scary. But first, let's take a look at what Kroger has been up to. Kroger has converted one of its stores in Franklin, Tennessee to an all self-checkout experience. The store was rid of cashiers and baggers on July 21 and was selected as an ideal conversion because of the rate of customers who were already using the self-checkout. These allow our customers to scan and bag their own items. The manager that they're talking here is saying this is a great thing. It allows our customers to scan and bag their own items, right? You don't have to have some dirty, nasty hands from someone else putting their hands on the stuff that you're buying. Adding that it makes the experience faster. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they want us to think, but that is not the end goal. The end goal is pretty scary, and like I said, I'm going to show you that here in a minute. There are plans to make another Middle Tennessee store 100% self-checkout and will possibly expand to more locations later this year. The grocer said that some job titles were changed, but no jobs were eliminated in order to accommodate the updates. Now that right there could be lying by omission. He said no jobs were eliminated, but have you hired any more new people after people that left? So him saying that no jobs were eliminated is really a moot point because they have a pretty high turnover in supermarkets, and it could just mean that they just didn't hire any new people from the people or the last batch of people that quit. Now that we've established that supermarkets, at least, and other stores, but let's just talk about supermarkets to make it simple, are going to go cashierless, right? And eventually cashless. Now let's talk about how Australia is one of the first nations that's really going cashless, but a lot quicker than other countries are. Australia is ratcheting up their war on cash. The bottom line is we should be very wary when a government aggressively pushes for anything, including a cashless society. It is very rarely in the interest of the average person. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever government does something, when is it really in the interest of the average person? Just think about that for yourselves and try to come up with some things and put them down in the comments. Now listen to this. Over the last financial year, more than $1 billion worth of physical cash disappeared from circulation. They're talking about Australia. The strongest sign yet that the country is moving toward a cashless society. Now, $1 billion may not sound like a lot if you're from here in the United States, but you have to remember that in Australia, they have a much lower population size than we have here in the US. The number of $50 notes in circulation charted the sharpest decline. Australia transitioned from pounds to Australian dollars back in 1966. Every year since then, the number of notes in circulation had increased, ladies and gentlemen, until this year. Meanwhile, 3 of Australia's big 4 banks recently opened cashless branches, and according to the RBA's website, it is exploring a central bank digital currency, and we've already known that. But while the amount of cash available has decreased, Australians increasingly want to use cash. So as they have more demand for cash, cash is being decreased. An RBA survey, Consumer Trends, revealed that 33% of Australians consider themselves low cash users, which means that they use physical money for less than 20% of their personal transactions. That was down from nearly 50% in 2019. But that's only 33%, ladies and gentlemen. We still have another 66+% that, or 67%, that use cash on a regular basis, more than the 20% of their time. They continue to say that in July, Australians protesting the push toward a cashless society vowed to make all of their purchases using cash for a week. Pay with cash only for everything that you can, one tweet read. Please be part of this, and that's what it's going to take. I think it was Nigeria, correct me if I'm wrong, that they try to change over to a CBDC, and no matter what the government did, no matter how many times they try to bribe them by giving them free tokens or whatever it was, the people said no, we don't want it. I think it was like less than 3% of the people that actually used it. That's what we have to do when this comes about. Do not get drawn in with the freebies that they're going to try to give you. And if they do give you freebies, ladies and gentlemen, take it and buy precious metals with it. That's my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. It appears the powers that be in Australia have decided that if they can't convince Aussies to go cashless by choice, they'll force their hands by simply eliminating cash from the financial system. And that is what government is. Government is force. They will try to do this by convincing people, and then eventually they will make your lives very difficult, just like that thing that they really try to convince people into the last couple of years. And when most of the people said, hey, I don't want to do this, they made their lives so difficult that about 50 to 60% of the population ended up doing it, most of them not wanting to do it, but seeing no other way out, if you know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen. Officials sell the war on cash by touting the convenience of digital payments. They also claim that eliminating cash will help stop criminals who use physical money to evade tracking and detection. But there is a darker side to the move toward a cashless society, the promise of control. Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about control, right? The government doesn't want to use force to control you. Trust me, they don't want to use force to control you. That's the last thing they want to use. They will if they have to, ladies and gentlemen, but they would rather convince you to use something that they can control you with rather than make you use something that they can control you with. Without physical cash, the government and the government cartel banking system have complete control of your money. We all know this. That means that banks and governments increase their control over you. They can collect maximum taxes and fees. They can track your purchases, and they can even manipulate your spending habits by imposing negative interest rates, meaning that they're going to give a deadline to when you can spend that cash before it's gone completely. That effectively charges you for saving. So if you want to save money, it's going to cost you money. So why save it, right? In the worst case scenario, the government could even shut off your ability to make transactions. They can demonetize your life because maybe you said something that they didn't like, ladies and gentlemen. Or maybe somebody just woke up one day and said, let me just pick somebody out of the blue whose life I want to ruin. Needless to say, many everyday people like cash and the relative freedom it provides. In a worst case scenario, they can at least shield their wealth by shoving cash under their mattress. And you can't do that, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no cash. So, in my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor. I like to put a little bit of my cash, excess wealth, and precious metals. But having all of your preps that you need for an elongated period of time is, I think, the smart play to make here. Imagine if there was no cash, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to get into this next, and you're going to see what I've got for you, which, in my opinion, can be a very scary scenario going forward. But they say, imagine if there was no cash. It would be impossible to hide even the smallest transactions from the government's eyes. Something as simple as your morning trip to Starbucks wouldn't be a secret from government officials. And as Bloomberg put it when they went ahead and did an article on when China launched their digital yuan back in 2020, China offers authorities a degree of control never possible with physical money. Do you understand this? A digital currency, all right, offers China authority a degree of control never possible with physical money. And that's what they want to implement pretty much worldwide, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. The World Bank, the BIS, the IMF, they want to be at the top, right? They want to have that same amount of control over countries. And then the countries want to have that same amount of control over the people. And the BIS and IMF and the WEF, all of these places, they're not even elected organizations. The government could even turn off an individual's ability to make purchases, they say, and this was from that Bloomberg's article. Now, let me show you something real quick. I'm going to show you 2 short clips of videos, and then we're going to talk about it.
This could get really dangerous, guys. There's good things and bad things that can come from this. Hey, Bob, is that you? Let's see if he thinks he's Bob.
No, my name is Gary.
No, we're going to convince him he's Bob. No, your name is Bob. You have amnesia from yesterday.
I don't have amnesia. And my name is Gary. Don't tell me who I am.
I know you're Gary. I'm your sister. Remember me?
I don't have a sister. I don't know who you are. Leave me alone.
No, Bob, it's me. I'm your adopted sister, Stephanie. You have amnesia. You have amnesia, okay? Calm down.
I don't have amnesia.
Now, on the video that you saw a gentleman playing a video game, and his character was going around talking to other what are called NPCs, non-player characters, right? NPC, non-player characters, which means that they're like extras within the video game. But the difference between these video games that they're playing is that their character that they control with their voice and with the movement that they, have them run around the city and whatever, is under their control, under the control of a human being. But these NPCs that they were talking to, they were AI. They were artificial intelligence NPCs. So whereas before, a character that was being operated by you, the player, could go up to an NPC, the NPC could only tell them certain things that was programmed into them to be able to respond. But now you can actually have a conversation with an NPC. Why? Because they are now powered by AI. Meaning that you can go in there and have a conversation with them about anything, and they can have a conversation back with you. Well, AP, that just sounds like a great gaming experience, right? Well, wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this video that's coming up next. The robot on this video is really a human that artificial intelligence is making look like a robot. But the point is this: imagine when the day comes that robots can actually be this agile. Do you see where I'm getting at? There's no more cash, only digital currencies. And then you're going to have supermarkets. It'll be all stores, but let's say you'll have supermarkets that have no cashiers. And then eventually have absolutely no human interaction. Then you're going to have a robot that's powered by AI, that is this flexible and can move just as good as, if not better, than the best athletes in the world, they're going to be guarding the stores. So you will not have a human to talk to. You will have no one to empathize with you if you should need help. Think about that mother that has no more credits left, who's trying to get milk for her child. And even though the people behind her are like, yeah, we'll go ahead and pay for you. Nope, your digital wallet, you can't afford to pay for her. Because even though you have enough tokens in your digital wallet, you've already bought the amount of milk for that month that you can buy. So you can't help her. And that robot is sure as heck going to be able to keep her from stealing. We are headed into a world, ladies and gentlemen, where they want to take human interaction away from us. They want to make us foreign to each other, where we have no empathy, and where robots decide what we can and can't do eventually. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying every time I put up one of these videos, people call me a fearmonger because they're like, this is not happening, whatever. It's not that's going to happen tomorrow, but this is where we're leading to. These are the things that we are not told when our politicians, when our pundits, media pundits come out and say, hey, this is going to be a great thing, but they don't look 2 or 3 or 4, years down the line. And let me go ahead and cover something that kind of like has something to do with this, but in a way it doesn't. But I just had this thought, and I didn't want to make this its own video. You know how the government right now, they're like subsidizing a lot of green energy. They're like subsidizing windmills, let's say, right? And by subsidizing that green energy and putting all of that, subsidizing means that they're taking your money and giving it to a company that they think are going to make the planet greener, right? That they're going to be able to eliminate fossil fuels at a certain amount so that they can have so many windmills. I was thinking about this morning early when I was looking through the news. So the government subsidizes a company and gives them all of these hundreds of millions of dollars, and at the same time the government says, okay, since we're giving them all of these hundreds of millions of dollars, now we can shut down more coal plants, more coal-fired plants, right? Because they're going to be able to make up the energy that these coal plants are therefore, not making anymore because we're shutting them down. But ladies and gentlemen, what happens in 10 years when the government stops making those subsidies to those, let's say, windmill companies, and then the windmill companies can't afford to run their operation because they're not getting any more subsidies? And then the coal-fired plants, they're no longer there to even start off. What are we going to get stuck with? We're going to get stuck with a company that either goes bankrupt because they can't afford to continue to operate, or we're going to go with a company that, instead of going bankrupt, has to increase their prices so much that it's going to give people no choice whether they're going to heat their homes or eat. They're going to have to choose one or the other. Even more government control. That's just a thought that I had on how these subsidies work. Because a lot of subsidies right now are being put towards green energy, and in order to shut down fossil fuel plants like coal, like natural gas and stuff like that. Especially when natural gas is one of the cleanest burning fuels that we have. Let me go ahead and digress, bring it back a little. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you got something out of this. What do we have to do? We have to be able to be as prepared as possible so that we can use our no muscle down the line when we need to. Other than that, have a great day. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.